Okay.
Hello, my name is Makeda Maduka. Both my parents are from Malawi in another state. So my question is like similar to the brain drain conversation. So I'm second generation born in the UK, and I care a lot about Nigeria. I'm currently studying a master's in infrastructure and development, and I'd love to take that back home to Nigeria. But as you mentioned, it's not really conducive. But I guess someone like me, who's never lived in Nigeria and also doesn't speak Hebrew, doesn't really have the street smarts to live in a place like Nigeria, to go back and make a change. So I guess the question is like, what can we do as members of the diaspora who's never necessarily lived in Nigeria, who actually care about Nigeria, to go back and actually make a change?
Thank you. First is that we have to serve the advocates to ensure that we have good leadership. Not alone. I have 2 kids. They were born here. Or virtually born here. They pay taxes. They don't live in Nigeria. But I can tell you, they don't even produce. They're not part of what I do. But I can tell you they will go back. Because whenever I have opportunity of living, they are listening. You know it. We have better this, and so start with advocacy. Start with telling people the things that are wrong, things that is. We don't have opportunity of people saying to people, you're not doing the right thing, you're not doing this, you're not doing. That's how Asians change their concept. What you're learning now can help you to bring about change. And when you start, some of you are going to be part of those who are going to come back to build that better society. Because you're going to have opportunity. When we talk about leadership, it's not just one person. No, it's a group of people fighting on all levels. Thank you. Yes.
My name is Joshua Obide. I'm also from Malawi.
I didn't know we do that.
I was specifically interested in how exactly do you think we can attract investment to education, seeing as it's not profitable?
Attract what?
Attract investment to education, seeing as it's not profitable. And how do you think
investment in education
in Nigeria, seeing as it's not profitable? And where do you think the private sector is into politics in Nigeria? Like how do we shape the private sector to benefit Nigeria? How do we inspire that?
Well, let me tell you, education is not just in attracting investment in education. Education is not an investment a nation drives. When I was in school, University of Nigeria in Soka, Ibadan, if you finish as a degree, come to Oxford here, they give you automatic admission to do your master's. Because the universities were first class. I had people like Chinua Achebe as my lecturer. People who went to Cambridge, Professor Ken and Zubiri, I can call all the notable names that used to be there. There were people who were educated in Oxford and Cambridge. And they were there as lecturers. But, hey, today it's changed. The quality has dropped. And that's why you have a problem. So it's not true. What is the private sector? Without the thriving private sector, no nation exists. Just like SA means, you don't have a partnership. The reason why you don't have it is that you have corruption. Any place where people in government are richer than people who are doing business is collapsed. Because people are making money without entrepreneurship, with enterprise. It's not sustainable. So private sector drives the change. SME in particular. They are the ones who are going to create the job.
My name is Mr. Fabio. I'm from Niger State, Nigeria. On the topic of integrity, when we talk about things like criminality and corruption within Nigeria, they always say, oh, the leaders are always at the leaders are a reflection of people. So where does holding people accountable come from? Or where does it start with the leaders or with the people?
It starts with the people. The reason why I start with the people is that the people who question, is it not us that voted Peter Obi in? Look at how the type of life he lives today. The people must, yes, the leader. I'm not saying the leader should not. For you to be a good leader, you must be able to be self-examined. You must be able to question yourself. Is this what I promised these people? Is it what? But where that fails, in this country is a country of lawlessness. This country, see. Do you know why it remains lawful and works? Because if I decide now to slap him, the number of police people that will come here, you will not believe that just because I slapped him. You have about 6 everywhere. If I decide now to go to my house in the UK here and say to my wife, walk out of this house, guess what she'll do? She'll call police. When police comes, no one will walk out. Me, the police will say, come out. She will go in. And I'm saying I'm the owner of the house. They don't want to hear it. If I go to Nigeria and say, walk out, police will come. I say, this woman, they will even tell me, looking at her face, they know she's a troublemaker. You cannot agree with her. So you must have, so because of it, there's orderliness. I know that if I do the wrong thing, the society will say no or check me. If I steal shoplifting, if I do this, if I shout, if I do this, so because of it, so it's the leadership, the people of anything, the people will say no. If you go here and jump queue, the people will say to you, no, you can't jump. No. I see it every day. Where people say, oh, we're not in the queue. In our place, it is the people who are supposed to make queue who say, okay, no, you can't queue up with them. So, it gives you a title. How can honorable queue? How can excellency queue? But your excellent person who is supposed to show example, you are not the one jumping queue. Assistant jumping queue. Okay, don't mind. The queue is not meant for you. Who is it meant for? It's the people who say, no, you can't do that. Wow. I don't know. Okay.
My name is Olajide Alade. I'm from Ibadan. My wife is from Anambra State. So my question is, I was also born in Zaria, in the northern part of Nigeria. My question is, we all witnessed what happened in 2020. Then I also witnessed what happened in 2023. First, we protested, and you know what happened. I don't want to go into the details. And then 2023, I've heard all sorts of people that I know told me about how much irregularities happened in that election. How do we continue to believe in the democratic system where we can't protest, we can't trust our elections? And how do you stay motivated I assume we're going to run again. How do you stay motivated, and how do you advise us to feel?
Let me assure you, please, remain committed to it. Change does not come overnight. There is no way 1 million people can be greater than over 100 million people. Registered voters are over 90 million. The people who are causing this confusion are not up to 1 million. If we stay on course, we will stop them. Because it will come at the time we will say, listen, you see this vote, if you don't count it, we will count you. If I tell you what I go through, you ask me why are you still doing this? But for me, no way. It's our country. Nobody, will stop me. Nothing. I want to see the change. I want to build a society where people's talent, hard work will match up their opportunities. Not what we have today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to listen to everyone's inspiration. My name is Michael Corey. I'm from the Union local government in Imo State. And talking about the Nigerian project, we've got over 200 million perspectives of life, a huge social-cultural diversity, one of the biggest anywhere on earth. On top of that, we've got multiple priorities. And then we have a very, very small minority who almost sound like a lone voice, who seem to be advocating for change. Now, I have faith and hope that change will come. But does that not give you cold feet? And then secondly, where do you start?
Well, I can't give you cold feet. I'm a philosopher. That's my first degree. You know what keeps the cow awake? No one cow sleep when they move. You know what keeps them awake? Cat fly. That small thing that touches him on the neck and he does like this. That's what keeps him awake. So the society is changed by grandparents. You must stay committed to it and say, we cannot continue this way because it's not sustainable. What am I doing here? Most people here can't vote. I can tell you that. They wouldn't even come home to vote because some of them who can vote will not come. They will stay here and that day of voting, probably enjoying themselves in a Chinese restaurant, which is taken away, and some this and saying what is happening. They are not going to be there. So why am I going from one school to the other? Who else is doing this? So what am I doing? I should be where they are talking about how to share the whole thing. And say, this is for you, this is for you, this is for you, this is for me. Let's go and get these things. No. I'm going around trying to bring a new order. And that new order is not going to be easy. That's why I'm here. None of schools where I've gone, including here, have I been paid for even speech making. Probably I was very lucky. They offered me even meat pie when I and I don't eat meat. So it's complicated. So I'm going to finish this, run to the airport, do this and everything, rather than stay in my hotel, relax and everything and go. Because the actors and those who create the confusion are not here. They are somewhere plotting their game. But I want to change. I want that man in Niger State, whose state, 7 local governments is occupied by
Bandits.
I want him to come back and say, no, these people, why did you think they're bandits there? Why do you think they discriminate in the north? Why do they poverty? You need to start pulling people out of poverty by educating them, by making it work. If you don't do it, you have a crisis. Thank you.
Two marks, please.
Guys. Okay, go on.
Two marks, please.
Okay, go on.
Thank you so much, sir. My name is Shebak. I'm from Abia State. I just have want to ask, leadership itself is very important, but when you are a leader and the people around you don't share the visions, I understand. I've been in Nigeria and I've just moved and I followed your leadership journey. How were you able to manage other people, the bureaucrats who didn't like your vision, who probably want to fight the change of the because most times as leaders you have people who are also
You just have to drag the agenda and cry. You know, when I was impeached, I recall somebody who called me and said that. And a very respected and somebody who was a Stanford graduate in 1967 and the first MBA class of Columbia. He said to me, Peter, I thought you were doing a very good job. I didn't believe what happened to you. And I heard that you refused to give people money. Because at the time you wanted me to negotiate, and I said, I can't give you money for doing the wrong thing. Because the 3 days while I was impeached was very simple. Everybody knew my first impeachment. My office was bombed when I started. They budgeted 298 million naira to repair it. I did everything with 43,200,000. My lodge where I was going to live, the budget was 486 million. I did everything with 81 million. These were the reasons why I was impeached. And they said I have to give anybody. I said I'm not going to give anybody money. And he said, I thought, Peter, you were doing a good job. And nobody would have done this to you. I said, no, they didn't do the wrong thing. I was a driver because I said the leader is a driver. We had a vehicle full of passengers that have since passed their destination. What do you think they will do to that driver? They'll push him out because they want to go back to where they used to be. So change is not easy. You keep talking and talking and talking. If human beings, most of you here are Christians, Muslims, the Bible which you read in church and everything has not changed. That's what the pastor, priest, everybody preaches every Sunday. Yeah, people have not obeyed it. They have not changed. And it has not changed. Next year, it starts over again. That's what leadership. Your leadership, you must continually communicate. Tell people, this is the right thing to do. People don't start doing the right thing and it becomes automatic. You just have to keep communicating it. Saying this is this, no, that is this is this, and everything. It's like every other thing in life, even your personal life. Some of you will grow up, be married, be everything and all that. Some people will say, oh, well, listen, as a philosopher who had a topic of love, I tell people, there's nothing, by the time you get married, everything changes. So if you see people who have lived 30 years like me, who is close to my wife for the past 30 years and everything, it is not 30 years of happiness. It is 30 years of us trying to manage our differences and agree. 30 years of disagreeing, 30 years of doing this, but always, that's how leadership is. That's why a leader will always say, oh, this is this. You keep pushing people, dragging them, yelling and crying, and everything, and that's it.
Okay.
Let's just have somebody with that. Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, yeah, oh.
Yeah, I just want to say.
I can't stand up to a woman.
I kind of ambushed you at the airport. Do you remember, like, my family?
Yes. Okay.
But yes, I wanted to ask, I have two quick questions. I wanted to ask, what would you say are the most important qualities that a leader needs in Nigeria? Like, Nigeria is in a complex situation. So what does Nigeria need? And also, speaking about Niger State and the North that has so much potential, how do we bridge the gap between the literacy rates in the North compared to the South? Because we know obviously the literacy rates are higher over there, and so how do we do that, sir? Thank you.
Very simple. Invest in education in the North.
So let's take the last 3 questions at a time.
Let me give you an example. You see this thing when we talk about illiteracy rate in the North. I started to study what is happening in the North. Have you heard about our Almajiri schools? Where school children learn how to do Quran. I go to those schools and I see little children in 10 years, 9 years, who can memorize the entire Quran, their Genesis. What you need to do If they can't go to school, take school to them. So go to where they learn the Quran, introduce mathematics teacher, English teacher, everything there.
Simple.
It's not rocket science. It can be done. And what is the leadership? What qualities you need in a leader?
Yeah, what qualities do we need a leader for Nigeria?
Well, let me tell you, there's no special quality for a leader as long as it's competent. A leader must be somebody who is competent, understands nature. It's like they're hiring you for a job. You don't go and say to somebody, we are looking for a medical doctor. And you walk into, and somebody says, I did engineering. And you said, I'm sick. It's not competent. You tell I meet you at the airport, so you fly. You know the pilot? No. The reason why you're there and they announce Captain this is that you believe he's qualified. So you can fly plane. If I had told you I'm the one going to fly, I'm sure you go down. Because I'm not competent. So you must have somebody who is competent, who has the capacity, the compassion, commitment, and character. You have evaluated the person. So presidency is not something you say, oh, Peter speaks very good English. He talks very well at school. Oh, he has PhD. Educational qualification is not a measure of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
We need to know P2B has been tested somewhere among the economists. We need to know he has passed through a stage, he didn't live this type of life, he lives with his wife, he doesn't beat his wife and children, he doesn't fight everybody. We need to know who and who he is. There's so many things that makes it possible to say, yes, we've tried this one, let's try this one.
Okay. Okay, let's take him and this lady, that's it, please.
Thank you for.
But afterwards, then you can we'll take both of them at once, please.
Yes.
Hello. First of all, thank you very much for this talk. It was very insightful, especially for the research that I'm currently conducting with my team. So my name is Matteo. I am studying at Imperial and I'm French. And so currently with the team of engineers in Imperial, we're researching on the topic of the intersection between food health, food security, as well as climate stress in Nigeria, and especially Lagos. And we've been doing some research and we're looking into the future of Nigeria, the future of Lagos, where there will be a lot of rising floods, rising heat waves, and looking at the food security and the food health related to that. And it is a great shame because, as you said, in Nigeria, and in Africa as a whole, we have so much space where agriculture, raw materials is really not an issue. I've done some research into the fact that in Nigeria, more than half of what is harvested in agriculture goes to waste, which is a great shame for the profits on these raw materials. So my question is, how could Nigeria tackle this? How do you see Nigeria tackling this and optimizing the agricultural profits in the future?
First, it's very simple. You have to be able to use, like I said, the government has to support these farmers who are producing this food to ensure that there's a way they can manage their transition and be able to even have maybe companies that can support them by buying out from the farm produce. But most importantly, you need to support productivity by ensuring that industrialization. Because some of these are raw materials that should have been utilized immediately. So if you have today our GDP contribution from that in a developing country, less than 10%. There's no country that is developing that percentage. So if you have a productive sector, you're able to produce power, and people are productive, most of those produce from farms are actually raw materials for industries. But we have no industries that is producing.
Final one.
My
My name is Aisha Manali, and I was born and raised in the UK, but ethnically from northern Nigeria, Canada and Middle East to exact. And as someone who hopes to serve northern Nigeria through health reform, what has taught you the most about guiding people who have stopped expecting systems to work for them? And how can, pardon?
Come again.
And how can emerging leaders rebuild that expectation in communities where trust needs to be earned?
Well, it's again, where trust needs to be earned, am I right?
Yeah.
You see, when you talk about a leader, is somebody who has chosen to be an exemplary person. Imagine how you feel that I'm saying all these things I'm saying now, going around, and tomorrow I'm given the opportunity. You found out that I've stolen public money. Imagine if somebody comes out tomorrow and tell you, I've stolen money, that they found out that Anambra money was missing in my hand. I stole a lot of money. How will you feel? This man that comes around talking, you thought he's a human being, how could have done it? Imagine what you feel tomorrow. It turns out that I was involved in rape. Imagine how you feel that tomorrow. The things you see, you just ask yourself. Like I keep telling people when I was going, I'm an alumnus of Oxford, Cambridge, Kellogg, Lagos Business School, University of Nigeria, I am this way. And my name is being mentioned. When they hear you're going, they mention your name. I say, he's not, you know that one, he's not governor. And tomorrow the same thing will happen when you steal. They'll mention your name in all those news. Everywhere I go, Nigeria, oh, let me take picture with you. Let me do. Imagine if they started your picture where they caught you with drugs. You all over the place. What name? How will you? You're a human being. You're finished. So in defending that character, if that brings you my behavior, everybody's watching me. They listen. I cannot do this at all. I can't live this type of life. I've gone to the remotest part of the world where I cannot imagine you see Nigeria. And Nigeria is there. Where you think that is this place I came, one will appear. And shout your name and say you're this person. So imagine if you were doing the wrong thing. So you have to build that trust. It's a difficult thing for a leader. You are going to tell your parents today, maybe this person came to our school. Your parents are going to reply, that man is a thief. That man is bad. Is that what you want to do? No. You want to be able to tell, and that's why I said you invite other leaders to come so we have a discussion. So, my dear people, let me once again thank you for the opportunity of being part of you today.